For over a century, we've all thought of Tyrannosaurus rex as the undisputed king of the dinosaurs. But what if it wasn't alone? For decades, a mysterious fossil has haunted its reign, and it sparked a scientific cold case that really challenges everything we thought we knew about the Tyrant King. So the whole mystery really kicked off with this, a much smaller, way more slender Tyrannosaur skull found right in T-Rex's backyard. Now, this single discovery started one of the longest-running debates in all of paleontology. And it's a super important one, because getting it right completely changes our picture of the most famous ecosystem in Earth's history. So, was this smaller predator just a T-Rex going through its awkward teenage years? Or was the Tyrant King actually sharing its throne with a smaller, maybe nimbler cousin? Okay, let's dive right into this dinosaur identity crisis. To really get how we got here, we've got to rewind the clock a bit, all the way back to the 1940s, when one fossil skull first planted those seeds of doubt. This whole thing has been a scientific roller coaster. Seriously, for decades, the community was totally split. On one side, you had the tiny tyrant, Nanotyrannus, its own separate species. On the other, you had the theory that these were all just young T-Rexes, before they hit that massive growth spurt. And the arguments on both sides, they were really compelling. Team juvenile T-Rex would point to bone textures that just screamed fast-growing youngster. They argued that teen Rexes would have perfectly filled that mid-sized predator role. But Team Nanotyrannus had some great counterpoints. They'd say, look at the tooth count, it's different, and the build is so much more slender with these long limbs. So the real question was, could a T-Rex really change that much as it grew up? And you can really see the heart of the problem right here. On the left, you've got that classic, massive, bone-crushing skull of an adult T-Rex. And on the right, the much narrower, almost delicate-looking skull of the Nanotyrannus specimen. So the whole debate was stuck. It was at a total stalemate. What they really needed was a Rosetta Stone, some kind of fossil that could finally settle the argument once and for all. And for years, that exact fossil was locked away from science. So let's turn to the specimen that finally blew this case wide open, a spectacular fossil that's famously known as the dueling dinosaurs. Now, this thing was found way back in 2006, and it was an almost perfectly complete skeleton of our mystery Tyrannosaur. But, and you won't believe this, because of years of legal battles, scientists couldn't even get their hands on it. Finally, in 2022, it was bought by a museum, and researchers could at last analyze the evidence that was hidden deep inside its bones. And the answer wasn't just about the shape of the bones, because, shape can change a lot as an animal gets older. No, it was about something much more fundamental. The story of the animal's life, recorded microscopically, deep within the skeleton itself. Scientists looked at something called lines of arrested growth, or LAGs for short. The idea is actually pretty simple. Just like tree rings, these are microscopic rings that form inside bones every single year. If the rings are spaced far apart, it means the animal was growing super fast. But if they're packed tightly together, that means its growth was slowing to a crawl, a clear sign it was hitting adulthood. So how old was this mystery dinosaur? The analysis showed it was about 16 years old when it died. That's definitely well into its teenage years, but the age alone wasn't the final piece of the puzzle. Here's the kicker. The outer growth rings were packed incredibly tightly together. This was not a fast-growing teenager in the middle of a growth spurt. This was a young adult whose growth had already slowed way, way down. An animal this old, this small, and growing this slowly, well, it simply could not have grown up to become a 40-foot, multi-ton T-Rex. The case was closed. Nanotyrannus was real. But just when you thought the story was over, the study dropped another little bombshell. When the researchers compared the dueling dinosaur specimen to another famous fossil, one named Jane, they found enough differences to suggest there wasn't just one species of Nanotyrannus, but possibly two. The plot just keeps getting thicker. So with the tiny tyrant's identity finally confirmed, what does this actually mean for how we see the world of the late Cretaceous? Well, the implications are absolutely huge. First off, it means the ecosystem was way more complex than we thought, with multiple large carnivores living side by side, kind of like lions and hyenas in Africa today. It also means that decades of research on T-Rex growth, which use these very fossils as a model, has to be completely reevaluated. And maybe the most exciting part, the hunt for what a real baby T-Rex looked like is officially back on and wide open. The reaction to this new data was immediate. I mean, it wasn't just online forums buzzing about it. Many top experts in the field, people who had long argued that Nanotyrannus was just a juvenile rex, actually changed their minds publicly. The evidence was just that powerful. So the big takeaway here is this. T-Rex did not rule its kingdom alone. It shared its home with another big predator, a smaller, faster, more slender tyrannosaur that was probably hunting very different prey. The world of the dinosaurs just got a little more crowded and a whole lot more interesting. You know, this whole discovery just goes to show you, even an icon like Tyrannosaurus rex, a dinosaur we think we know inside and out, can hold on to these massive secrets. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other incredible prehistoric mysteries are still buried out there just waiting to be discovered?